welcome to today's podcast. My name is Carl Smith. I'm the business owner and coach at Concept Fitness Consultancy, and today's guest is Charly Stakim.
Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. I'm just going to change the view on here so that we can see you properly. So look, we had a chat, I want to say it feels like a few months ago. How have you been getting on since?
You know what? They've been good, but also followed with a lot of changes. Obviously, we thought this was going to be over way sooner than it has been. And the weather has been getting increasingly worse. So with obviously training outdoors and the pandemic, it's been quite hard. So it's just about, moving as many people as you can online. And with that, I think it's been good because I feel like my skills with online training have improved. And we're providing more value for people in that space rather than in person. So it's just been a bit finding alternatives, but it has been good because a lot of people are now willing to, rather than wait for the gyms to open, get to work now, but through maybe a different way, like using online PT rather than in person. But yeah, that's what we've been doing.
Well, you sound super positive, which you always have been. I'm happy to kind of not make this a super positive podcast if it doesn't need to be, because I do know that there's a lot of trainers now that have been struggling. How are you finding things right now in terms of new business? So you're saying that some of your clients are sort of saying, well, we know it's not going to be open tomorrow, so we'll just crack on with the online stuff. But how are you finding picking up new clients right now? Are you finding it easier than before, or are you finding it more difficult, more challenging?
I think with inquiries, I'm maybe finding it a little easier now. For online training, it's more the objection handling is so different to before. So with in-person training, obviously someone comes to a consultation and you can help them with personal training, so you're trying to sell them on your product or service, and the objections are so different. It's like financial, it's about like they think they can do it themselves to start with, or whatever that is for them. So as a PT, you learn to overcome these objections, but I think with the pandemic, it adds a whole new strain of objection handling. Like, oh, I think I train better in the gym. Like, people have all these stories that they tell themselves. So I think that is maybe a harder aspect to overcome. But in terms of inquiries, it's just about being more creative with things like referral systems. Can you give more value? Can you use hashtags to utilize who you're getting in front of? Can you hyper niche down? You really get niche about who you're targeting. And from that, I've found probably more people have contacted me about online personal training than ever before. Because normally I was gaining leads from running classes. People would come up at the end and be like, do you do training? Or being in and around the gym. But we can't do that right now. So it's been a whole different, ball game. But I think just being smart with things like referrals and value and niching to the extreme is something that's really good to do.
Well, amazingly, without any preparation, we found ourselves on the topic that I wanted to talk to you about.
So for me, it's just about understanding, and we're told this so much in business, and I think it's only really recently that it's fully hit home for me, is about the more value you give, the more valuable you are as a trainer, as a product, 100%. So and in my head, I was always like, oh yeah, like you want to put out more content, give stuff for free. And it's not always necessarily about that. I think it's about being really specific about the value you're giving. Like, not just, I'm just going to throw out 100 free workouts a week, exhaust myself, film loads, be live all the time. That stuff helps. But everyone is doing that. Like,
Yes.
Go everywhere. Like, it's free workouts. And what I've been hearing from trainers right now is, how can I sell a product when there's so much free content out there? Like, I can't sell my workout plans because go on Google, everyone has a workout. You can, let's be real, you can get it from any trainer, a free workout plan. So where does that change, and where do you start profiting from that? But it's about building these raving fans and then thinking of you first when it comes to these things. And how you do that, for me anyway, is getting so niche about who you are talking to. So rather than being like, I'm going to talk to everyone, if you talk to everyone, you're talking to no one. You're just getting lost in this sea of trainers all trying to, like talk about nutrition, talk about workouts. It's not specific enough. So you need to be talking to one person. And a lot of people will then say to that, or their fear will be, or mine was, oh, but if I'm talking to, older women, does that mean young women aren't going to buy my program? Or like if I'm talking to, if I talk about the fact I'm a vegetarian and share vegetarian meal plans, does that mean that people that eat meat aren't going to buy my plan? So you would have that fear that you're cutting people off. And yeah, like you will be. There is people that will look at your plan and go, that's not something that is me. But I mean, I remember the first PT I ever worked, it wasn't a PT, it was an online trainer plan that I worked with. And I'm not a vegan, but it was a vegan plan. And she was speaking to vegans, bodybuilders. I'm not a bodybuilder or a vegan, but I loved her message. I loved the workouts. I loved her style, her aesthetic. She spoke to people like it was like they were her friend. So for me, I was like, okay, that's my vibe. I still bought that product, even though I was not the target market for that. So you will still attract other people that aren't this specific person. But by doing that, you're going to be speaking so directly to someone that they're not going to look at these other trainers because you're speaking directly to them. So yeah, it's just about getting as niche as you can, especially online when it's such a crowded marketplace.
That is the absolute contrary of what most PTs have been taught, because when you're in a commercial gym in that environment, you have to be, and I've said it before, you have to be all things to all people, because you're trying to cast a wide net. You want to pick up the person that wants to lose weight. You want to pick up the person that wants to gain weight. You want to pick up the power lifter. You want to pick up the older lady that wants to want support with osteoporosis potentially. But in the online world, to attract the market, you have to be specific, and I think that's a real key piece of information that people have to wrap their heads around. And like you said, but it doesn't come naturally, because you do think you're alienating your market. So how long did it take you to kind of grasp that concept yourself?
It definitely took a while, because like you said, I did have resistance to cutting people off. And I think I really learned this lesson back when we could do in-person training, because I was trying to be different to the other trainers in the gym. I wanted something that was specific to me. So what made me stand out? Why would they choose me for personal training over everyone else on the PT board? And who was I trying to attract? And my problem was that my verbiage I use in any of my marketing or when I'm talking, it's very girly. It's very like, hey babe, like let's go to the gym. Very like, I'm your best friend, like we're girly, chat. That's what it's like. So my concern was, there's a lot of male clients coming in. Am I missing out on a huge market here for males? But most of my in-person clients to start with were a lot of guys who would come in and train. And what I found with that was, like, they were because I would ask them, I would say, listen, can I just ask out of curiosity, like, what made you pick me as a personal trainer over that? And a lot of them would say, they'd be like, well, listen, I've worked with guys before. They want to talk about football. They want to talk about this. They want to discuss this. I'm not really like that as a guy. Like, I like to just talk about, like, my wife's got a baby on the way, and we're working on this. And, you don't always make that assumption. And they just wanted someone to talk to that wasn't going to provide that. So by me basically saying, I'm not going to talk about football in my sessions, like inadvertently, I'd attracted that client. It can be something as simple as that. So don't think that you're cutting people off. And just while you were talking about everyone being a personal trainer and it knocking your confidence, I think comparison can be such a huge thing. And I've definitely been through it. Like, there has been times when I've been on my Instagram and I've been like, how am I gonna make a dent in this? like every second video I'm watching is some super fit chick, like doing burpees like every single day for people live. Like, how do you compete with that? You know, I've got a baby at home, I have other businesses. Like, how are you supposed to do to compete with that in this time? But you just need to believe in yourself that you may be doing the same workout, but you're going to do it differently. Like, and the only difference is you. Like, that is the only thing. It's how you communicate with people. And you could watch two identical like Carl, you could give me a workout to do right now and another personal trainer tell us to film it. It'd be entirely different videos. We'd say different things, we'd talk about different things. Like, you might have a guy who does the workout and he's like, right, come on, like, no excuses, like, we're gonna go, like if you're not crying, it's not enough. Like, and then you might have me, and I might be talking about like how I was at the shop the other day and I bumped into like my ex-boyfriend. It was so embarrassing, like during a workout, like because that's the kind of chat I have with my clients. So entirely different like training sessions. And that is the difference. I think it's those little things you don't think are important that are going to attract people to you specifically as a trainer. So it's about almost putting that on overdrive a little and showing that side of yourself just as equal as you're sharing your expertise, I think.
It's there's a couple of things out of that as well, isn't there? It's certainly about being consistent, because you know, you've got to keep going. You know, you can't do this for, I don't know, 6 weeks, and because you're not getting the results that you want, just stop. You can't do this, you know, you can't commit to delivering content to your specific audience 5 days a week, and then kind of 1 week think, well, I can't really be bothered this week, so I'll just do it twice, and the next week it's 3 times, the next week it's 5. You have to be consistent, because you have to build momentum with it. But and that's tough, because you know, you get knocks along the way, and you know, but you've got to keep going. The other side of things, I think, is really important that you mentioned, is that, you know, I don't. Gone are the days, I am sure, of being able to put a post on Facebook or Instagram and expecting 50 people to respond to it, and expecting to get 10 clients off one post. Now that did kind of happen a while ago, but because of the you know, the amount of trainers doing that, you may pick up, you know, it might be one client every couple of weeks, it might be one client a month, but, and we'll talk about the referral side of things in a minute, it's really important that you look after that one person when you get them on board, so that you deliver a fantastic experience. Because again, I've seen so many trainers that will potentially, and this was you know, in the olden days, when the clubs were open, but you turn up to your class and there'd be 2 people in it, and because there was 2 people in your class, you're like, oh god, I've only got 2 people. So you deliver a really lackluster experience, and then those 2 people just think, well, that was rubbish, and never come back. If you'd have looked after those 2 people like there was 40 in the class, you deliver the same vibe, the same atmosphere, the same experience, then there's all likelihood that those 2 people will refer 2 more, and then 2 more refer 2 more. So I think what is certainly useful to understand, certainly from your perspective, is how do you encourage people to give you referrals now?
So here's where I think this has been a huge lesson for me recently, and it's, you've got people, this sounds really bad, and I don't think this in any other sense other than referrals, but like, you've got to think of your clients kind of like babies, okay? So like, you watch a baby, they get up, they walk around, and like they fall, and then like you're like, come on, Mr. Again, woo! Like, they're getting that praise, so they get back up, and then they're wobbling about, and they fall again. You're like, no, come on, you can do it. Like, they want to be praised for doing good things, right? And that's what drives them. So with a client, it's not enough to just be like, at the end of, when they've bought something, be like, hey, yeah, and if you know anyone else needs personal training, like, let me know. Like, I promise you now, they're going to bed at night and they're not thinking of you. Like, they're not. And they'll read the message and go, yeah, but they're not doing it. Like, I've had it before with like hairdressers or whatever, and someone's been like, oh, you know anyone else that needs their hair cut, let me know. And I go, oh yeah. And it's not out of badness, but you just don't, you're like, oh, okay. You need to find something irresistible, right? Like it needs to be irresistible to make them give you these referrals. So what could that look like? And a lot of people are like, oh, I could give them a free plan. I could maybe do something. Like, get so creative with this. So for example, like one of the things I did for a while is I reached out to basically a meal prep company locally. Yep. And I just said to them, I was like, listen, here's the situation. Like, I can't afford to buy a week's meal prep for every person who gives me referrals, but I really want to send people your way. If people give me 3 referrals of people I can reach out to that are Sarah, right? So don't just say people that want personal training. Do you know anyone that's a mum between age this and this that with this and this, right? Like specific. You're not saying to them, oh, can you think of anyone that wants PT? You're going, do you know someone that is a busy businesswoman and doesn't have time to fit in their training? Do you know somebody that's a stay-at-home mum and is really finding struggles to not to exercise and watch her kids? Do you know someone like Carl, for you, like do you know a PT that's really struggling with building their business right now that you could give me the details of? Then the next step is make it simple. Okay, so don't get them to contact them for you or whatever it is. Google Forms is free, guys. Like, set that up, name, email, why are they a good referral? And I'll literally just say, listen, I really appreciate you purchasing PT from me. Like, honestly, I know I can help you so much with this. It means the world to me to support my business. My mission is to empower people to fall in love with their bodies. And I really, it really helps me that you're supporting me do this. As a thank you, I'd love to get you a week's free meal prep, just to help you along your nutrition journey. Totally on me, my gift to you. But in return, I'd love if you could fill this form out with 3 people that are, aged this to this, whatever your target market is. So that's something people are going to move for. They're going to go, you know what? That's amazing. I'm going to get a week's free meals. And also, you're also helping other local businesses. So that meal prep company, I do have to pay for that as investment. And maybe you're like, Charlie, I can't invest right now. I'm broke. I've got no clients. But get creative. It doesn't need to be that. It can be anything. But you could find somebody else that's struggling with their business and be like, listen, I'm going to plug you with leads constantly. All you've got to do is give me this at a quarter of the price. You can negotiate things. But when you make it irresistible, people are going to act. They're going to want to help you and they're going to remember that. So always go above and beyond. It's not enough to give a free workout. They can get that online for free. Like, it's just not enough. You need to go above and beyond and give them something. Think of your target, like your avatar. We spoke about that last time. Your Sarah, specific. And what do they want? Like, what would really help them? Like, is it pregnant people? Are you pre and postnatal? Like, would they love a pre and postnatal massage? Like, would they kill for that? Like, is it that? What would really help them? It doesn't need to be training related, but something that really serves your niche. And get creative with it. Try and partner with it. Maybe you've got another side business and you have a product you can give them, or maybe your family do, your friends are struggling businesses. Like, really get creative with it. But if you can go above and beyond, that really does help.
And that's a really good shout. I think there's two arms to that, I suppose. The first piece is that you've got to create an additional value in your proposition for referrals. But the other side of things, it's as simple as you've got to bloody ask. How many of us just don't ask our clients for referrals at any stage until we really start to struggle, and then and that in itself makes a difference. When you're struggling, your tonality, your confidence, your demeanor is different, and people can pick up on that. And when you're confident, and it comes with an element of success, doesn't it? I mean, I was listening to a podcast last night from a guy who interviews successful entrepreneurs, and he was saying that there's something that he calls it lift, that once an entrepreneur has effectively started up their business and is getting a modicum of success, they've kind of got lift, and everything else that they touch thereafter, or yes, they'll have failures along the way, but they'll have success. And there's an element of that comes from a level of confidence that you achieve because you've demonstrated that success. So asking for referrals in the way you've just said, in a confident manner, with that value, you can't say no to it. If you come across as desperate, I really need you to refer some mates, please, because I'm struggling, or even if that's not they're not the words coming out your mouth, that's what I'm sensing from you. I'm less likely to do that. Would you agree?
100%. It's just about, I've got to ask every single time you make a sale, every time. Like literally every interaction, I'm like, referral. Like, what can I give you? Like, let me reward you for doing this in the hope that you'll refer. I had a girl message me, she started a clothing brand the other day, and she literally just messaged me on Facebook being like, hey Charlie, just thought I'd let you know I've started a shop online. Here's the link to it, check it out. I would never have known her shop existed.
Yeah.
But now I've got, like, I just thought of it there, like I've got it in the back of my mind. So it's sometimes just as simple as being like, by the way, hey, this is me, do this.
What about how you have those conversations? That might be worth sharing. That is there so many of us now naturally, whether it's we prefer it or not, our communication is done through WhatsApp, through Messenger, through direct messaging, and a lot less is done speaking to somebody. How much value would you put on actually having a conversation as opposed to texting?
Oh, hugely. So I just don't text if I can. Like, I'll send a video of me. I know that sounds so, you're probably like, Charlie, what? But I do. I'll send a video or a voice note. And I just think it comes across better. You can see my face. It doesn't look copy and pasted with an offer in it. Like, I'm just like, hey, sorry, I hope you don't mind me sending you a message. They can hear the friendliness in my voice. There's a lot more human connection. They're a lot less likely to ignore you if they know you've took the time to say their name rather than just an automated, something that would look automated. So it's just about that, getting that human connection as much as you can. I would put so much stress on that. Like, I think sometimes people get a bit daunting. They're like, oh my goodness, I'm about to send like a video to a stranger. Like, what? But these are the things that make you stand out. So I will literally like put the phone in my face. There's an option in Facebook Messenger to do so. And I was just like, hi, I hope you don't mind me sending you this message. My name's Charlie, your friend. Sarah's recommended you to me. And then I'll just share what it is I do. And most people will get back to that. Even if they're not interested, they'll still respond to you. And another important part is it takes somebody 16 exposures on average to buy anything. So a lot of the time, I know that first interaction isn't going to lead to a sale, but that's one of 16 interactions I'm going to have with them. So by sending that message, they've maybe accepted me on Facebook, they've added me, I can find out more about them that way. Like, they're posting on Facebook. So I build that. This makes it sound, I'm not like, building it in a bad way. Like, I'm just building relationships.
It's just a process, but you have to understand that actually it is a process. So that there's any don't feel bad about that. Understanding the process is what gets you through it. I was watching something again last night about another entrepreneur who used to sell. I think he used to sell. It was home security systems, he when asked the question, don't you find it really demoralizing when you get the door shut in your face? And his answer to that was no, because I know it's a numbers game, and I'm one step closer to getting the yes. And when I get the yes, it's such a big payoff. It's worth it. So and that's something that this as a personal trainer you have to get used to if you're going to be successful. Is taking a few no's, and you have to put yourself in a position to get those no's, so that that you can repeat that process to get a yes.
100%. Yeah, it's just about those multiple exposures, and when you know that, like, I know if somebody's not bought after 5 interactions, I still think they're going to buy from me. Like, and that might sound crazy. Like, we might have been like, I just don't have the money for it, or like, oh, it's just not for me, I don't need a PT, or like, they might have literally been like, I'm not interested. But in my head, I'm like, but I know that you are going to PT with me. Like once I've contacted you 16 times.
Yeah.
And it's just that confidence that
what do you say? Because I think that would be really useful in terms of your follow-ups. Because I know what you don't do is on the first interaction, ask them if they want to buy PT. So what is that journey, and what's the sort of script along the way?
So I never will leave an interaction without setting up another meeting ever. So they're going to be on something. So maybe it's I reach out to them, I do a free session with them, maybe they're not ready to buy. So we do the free session, they enjoy it, I go amazing, and I get to know what their pain points are. So what is it about it? What's their life? What do they do for work? What does their schedule look like? How much are they make? Is it a financial thing? What is it for them? That's the thing. And then plug them into stuff that's going to help them. So even you're not thinking about the sale, you're just right, what's going to serve them? Right, this is a busy mum. Okay. But she doesn't have she's a single mum, she doesn't have her kids at the weekends. I do a class on a Sunday online. Listen, come to my LBT class, it's live, it's this time, it's on Zoom. Really think it'll help you, it's entirely free. Come on to that. Perfect. I get her in that community. So I'm come in, make friends, be part of this. Message people after they've attended your classes. Listen, great job today. I saw you working extra hard. Really good. It's building a relationship. They will come to you. They will come to you. So it's not I post on my story hey guys, listen, I've just launched a new plan. It's gonna last 12 weeks. Message me to buy, and loads of people contact me oh, I want to buy it. I've been building that trust with them for months. I've been flooding them with free, genuine help. And I'm not thinking, oh, maybe this time she'll buy, but maybe that's the day. Maybe you've worked for them for 6 months for free, just running classes for them. If they've asked you a question, you answer it, whatever it is. And then you post this and they go, hey, I'm ready now.
Yeah,
I'm going to purchase it. So it's just people need to know, and trust you. And if you can build that with relationships, it's the best way.
And play the long game. Like you just mentioned, 6 months. How many of us, drop somebody in terms of a follow-up process after less than 3 weeks because they've not said yes to you. So really, really good point. Again, I knew this would be useful. Thank you. One final question, a bit off topic a touch, but I asked a question in the group this last week about how do you define success? And I think we all have a different way of looking at things. I'd be interested to know, if I asked you just that one random question, how do you define success as a personal trainer? What would you say?
Oh, how do I define success? So maybe this is a selfish thing to say, but for me, I need to know that my product for its niche is the best product in the market. So if I ever feel and I have had times like this, I'll be completely honest, there's times I've launched guides, paid guides, and I've been you can get this for free online. I've known that. I've been if someone looked hard enough, they could get this. Mm-hmm. And it just makes you feel disgusting. You just feel yucky. And I can't sell as well because I don't have full belief in my product. And I think a lot of people can self-doubt at times as well and be there'd be times I would get a consultation in the gym, be desperate for clients in the early stages. I know there's another PT in the gym that would serve them better. Maybe they want to do bodybuilding. That's not a specialty of mine. I've always said that, go to someone else. But I would be so desperate to get clients. I'd be I can help you with that. Yep, absolutely. I'll learn. This is good. When really I could be focusing that time getting good at the skills that I really like and work with clients that I really want to work with, and also help another PT out. So yeah, you need to feel, for me, success is when I know my product is the best of the best in my niche. I know they're not going to get anything like it anywhere else. I know that I'm serving massively. And I'm proud of that. That's success for me, because from that, I'm more confident in my product, I'm selling better, my community are being served more. And it's more fulfilling than just being I need to get a sale. It becomes your mission rather than your business. Does that make sense?
Okay, one last question, because I am I did say this would be a shorter interview than the last one, and I lied.
Love a chat.
I do. How do you structure your day? I know that you're a bit of a believer in the Hal Elrod's Miracle Morning book. How do you structure your day? So how early do you get up to get that that 2 hour window before you would usually have to get up, if that makes any sense? So.
Yeah. So I get up at 6 a.m. is my time that I get up. I'm not gonna lie, during this time it's hard because you're in your house all the time. It's not as if you're getting up to go somewhere. So it can be difficult. I'm finding it very challenging. But I do get up at 6 to do my Miracle Morning because a number of reasons. One, like my daughter gets up at 7, so I'm not willing to get up at 5. So I get up at 6. That gives me an hour to get my head clear. You know, I meditate, I look at what I'm grateful for. It puts me in a good space rather than the day chasing me. I think it's so easy to like lie in bed, then my daughter wakes me up, she's like, "Mommy, I need Weetabix," because I'm like, oh, like, and then you know you're going through, you've not even like had a chance to drink any water yet, and you're like too busy running about after this tiny person. So for me, it sets my day up right. I then will, like, I always set my work time, so I was really bad for that before, where I would just, my work and personal life just combined really nicely. So I now set times. So I obviously I've got Trained by Charlie, I've got a network marketing business, and I've got a painting business as well. So I need to set strict times for them. And personal training I find quite hard to do alongside Zia. So I'll maybe do that in times when I have her watched. But I can paint alongside her. So I like do stuff like that. So I'm just making sure I'm structuring times. I do not reply to PT emails, PT messages until that time, which can be hard. But that's just, you know, you've got to set those boundaries for yourself, I think. Otherwise, it will just take over your life. You've got clients messaging you at 11 o'clock at night, being like, "Can I eat this cereal bar?" And I'm like, "Why are you up? Go to sleep." So you've got to really be strict about when you're going to respond to people. So I do that. I'll film workouts. I have my schedule of classes that I run, but I'm big on time blocking. And I think if you aren't, do that, because it might seem it's simple. Like I will literally schedule 15 minutes in between two things I'm doing to spend time with my daughter. And like I will set a timer for it. And that sounds crazy, but I will literally be like, timer on, boom, I've got 15 minutes. Because then I can switch off rather than be like, oh yeah, around this time I'll spend time with her, but then a text comes in from a client and suddenly you're on your emails, and then before you know it, you've clicked a YouTube video and you're on something else and 2 hours has passed. So I'm so strict. I set times all the time. I don't always like stick to it. Sometimes I'm a human, like life goes a bit crazy sometimes, but I'm so, like, my lunch is my lunch. Like I schedule it, my phone's away, I eat lunch. Like I try and keep it as strict as I can. And you'll find people more productive that way. I don't think it's good to just be like, oh, on Wednesday I'll work. And then like you've not set when you're waking up, when are you going to sleep, when are you going to eat. So before you know it, it's like 1 o'clock, you've not done any work yet. And you're like, oh, should probably do something. So I find that keeps me more productive. But yeah, that's how I structure my days. I'm quite with it as much as I can be.
Perfect. Look, that's really useful. Charlie, thank you very much again for today.
Well, thank you.
And it'd be good to catch up again in a couple of months. Yeah, you're getting on.